The Rockpile Report, the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. And this is an Eclipse Party cookie that my idiot producer paid $13 for, like, what, a dozen of?
Yeah, something like that.
Guys, the eclipse came and went. In true Buffalo fashion, the day before was gorgeous out. The day after, gorgeous. The day of, Chris, cloud-infested nightmare.
How awesome was it that it was like nice the day of the eclipse, and then the eclipse, as soon as the eclipse shows up,
just clouds roll in,
fucking clouds.
And
I love it.
My thing is for everybody who's upset about the fact that, oh my God, this once in a lifetime thing, and it's all like clouded over. It's like, guys, have you paid attention to Buffalo sports history? This city exists to be a suck on your soul. We exist to let you down. That's what this is. It's wild. People who traveled from all over the country to see this thing.
Yeah, thanks for coming and buying wings.
Thanks for coming and buying wings.
On a cloudy day.
Now, Chris, what was your viewing experience like?
I'll tell you what it was. Clouds. Like, Benton was upset that we couldn't see it. Like, you could see it for a little bit before total coverage.
You saw bits and pieces.
I saw bits, like, I had to look through clouds.
Yep.
Because, I'm not like our politician Mark Poloncarz and driving to the Ohio-Pennsylvania line.
Of course you're
to go look at...
of course you're doing this character.
Okay. No.
Character who cares about where a guy drives to go see...
You know who else?
You're a horse.
Friend of the show, Mike Partham. I was driving down 5 towards the PA line. You fucking nerd.
I hope he fights you. I hope Mike Partham shows up here like Stone
Mike Partham knows I could take him.
I don't think you can.
I got the size,
you also have
girth.
You also have a bad back.
Yeah, if he goes right for the back. If he punches
over.
me in the kidney,
it's over.
I might die.
Mike, I applaud your efforts to get out from under the cloud cover to see a once in a lifetime thing.
I got to Westfield and
shut
the fuck up.
You do what you have to do. I don't fault him. I don't fault anybody who went any sort of way. And here's the worst part. I'm the curmudgeon here. I'm the old man yelling at clouds. And I thought this whole thing was stupid. And yet here I am at home with my wife. We're standing there and she goes, "You gonna go out in the driveway with me?" And I was like, fuck. Well, if you're going, I guess I'll go stand out there. So we put the glasses on, and we go out there, and I'm immediately looking up, and because of the cloud cover, you can't see anything. So, as I've now been inundated with memes, I just took them off, and was just looking through the clouds, being like, all right, well, where's this eclipse? Where's it? So, okay, there it is. We see it. And then the clouds would come and you'd kind of lose where the sun is. And then you'd see like the eclipse was starting to roll over. You're like, all right, we're getting close. So I'd stand there and I'd talk to her for a while. And then finally when the moment of totality was really crazy because it reminded me of Ghostbusters 2 when all of the light just got sucked out of everything. And everyone's like, where are the Ghostbusters? Someone end this shit because it's not good. The way it was like someone hit a dimmer switch on the entire world was awesome. It was cool to see.
We had a hawk hovering over our house. And
trying to pick off one of your small dogs?
Yeah, we had to put Merrick inside the house.
They literally had a campfire outside. And
they
were like, let's watch the eclipse with a campfire.
Yeah, Benton was like, can we have a fire? Like, because we have like a fire pit and there's just sticks that have not been burned sitting in there from last summer.
Because you don't know how to do yard work?
No, I know. No, it's just we never had a fire. They're just like there's a tree in the corner of the house, so when branches would fall, you pick them up, put them in the fire pit. So cool. We have a bunch of twigs, smaller sticks to have when we have a fire, and then it was like getting dark, and Benton was like, "Can we have a fire?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll light this shit on fire." I mean, we're not going to see shit because it's cloudy as fuck outside, dude. Yet that's how I talk to a 9-year-old. So, I mean, yeah, we had a fire, burned some sticks. It was fun.
I stood out there for about a half hour just staring right up at this thing. And then afterwards, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I couldn't see anything through my glasses. I'm really disappointed. I was like, no, I got to see a lot of cool angles of it because I stared it down the barrel for the entirety of the thing. And immediately I was inundated with Trump memes. Like, you guys are assholes, but I love you. Because it was just like, oh, look, it's a live look at Drew. And it's just Trump out there looking at the eclipse with no sunglasses on. And listen, we all have to go sometime. And it's been a couple days. I haven't noticed any difference. In fact, I think my eyesight might have gotten better. I have eyesight that's so bad.
Yet you still have your glasses on.
That LASIK won't fix it. Even with LASIK, I'd still have to wear glasses. That's how bad my eyes are. Whatever. Damage these retinas. It's already shot. I don't care. And then they go, well, what happens when you're old? I'm not going to be old. If I live my life the way that I'm currently doing it, and the way that I'd envision it going, I'm not going to have to worry about that. It's going to be awesome. But either way, it was a cool thing, even though I shit all over it in last week's podcast. It was a cool thing to see. What wasn't a cool thing is that Chris paid how much for these cookies?
$13.99 for like 9 cookies.
from the Eclipse Party headquarters that is Wegmans. The fact that they were allowed to brand themselves as that, and that a bunch of adults sat in a room and said, you know what we should do is make flyers and put them around every Wegmans and just declare ourselves the official. Who'd you clear that with? Did you apply to a government program and get yourself certified for something? No? Or is it just a hack thing that you're yelling into the ether as a grocery store? Should have gone in there during those 30 minutes they were like closed and just trashed the place.
Yeah.
Imagine the havoc you could have wreaked in 30 minutes. Like, it's almost like the opposite of, what was that show, Chris? Oh, my God. Like, I'm thinking of Guys Grocery Games on the Food Network, but there was a show.
How does it work if you're at Wegmans and you have Drew Gear persona, the I don't give a fuck about this, and it's $2.50 and you're shop at like,
and they
you're full-fledged shopping for groceries. You have a full cart and they go, we're closing in 10 minutes. Everybody needs to step outside for a half hour. Do you just leave your full cart and never come back? Or do you leave it and then wait a half hour and come back and finish grocery shopping?
I feel like what I would do is a little bit of both. I would take all of my things that are going to be refrigerated. First of all, I would know that this is happening. I'd be looking at the clock going, oh, I'm not going to make it. No frozen or refrigerated. But then also, people who are dumb enough to leave their carts just like sitting out in the open while they step outside. Yeah, I'm swapping a ton of your stuff with the nearest cart. Just all around the store. I'll spend right up until the moment of totality taking things out of your cart and putting them in someone else's and then trading them back. You'll never know, and you'll never be able to fix this. It's havoc. That makes me happy.
You could have a whole new level of Drew Gearisms, and you could have just been in at like $2.50 at Wegmans, and when they ask people to leave, like, oh, just leave your cart where it is and come back and
you can move them.
No, you can pick up where you left off. You zip tie multiple carts together that are in the same aisle. You just zip tie you pull all carts together, zip tie every one of them.
So the funny thing is, I got to tell, like, it was cool to share that moment with my wife. Like, that's if I'm being a sap, I can say this. I told my wife, I go, look, I got to see a once in a lifetime thing that some people my kids might not even get to see in their lifetime. I got to stand in the driveway and do it with you. And that was cool. Like, that was the redeeming thing of like, this is a once in a, I don't care about it. The sun went away for a few minutes. It was cool to look at. I don't understand the people who chose to make it their whole persona for a week. But what I do know is that it was okay. It was worth the price of admission, which was nothing. I just had to go stand outside. And I did also, Chris, can I immediately just turn into one of those guys like, don't believe the science. I stared at the eclipse and my eyes are fine. They're lying to us. Like, should I just start a whole website devoted to not believing the science?
Yeah, we could go ahead and do that, Fauci.
It's so stupid. It's a gamble. I'm willing to admit it. It's a gamble, and it's a poor choice. A lot like some of the poor choices a lot of you are making out here in the Bills fan base. And that's, guys, we're here talking about the Bills news update this week. Chris, hit me with it.
Oh, now you're going to have to give me a minute.
Yep.
I'm not even ready. I got to find it.
Chris is fumbling. He's fumbling, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. What do you got? I feel like I need Geraldo Rivera music in order to deliver hard-hitting headline commentary like this.
Was it the Inside Edition theme?
Inside Edition theme. Dun, 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 dun. They wanted to be taken seriously, Chris. Even with that stupid goatee of his. Rivera looked like an idiot. Can we agree on that?
Oh, yeah.
Pull up a picture of him. Give it a Google and throw it up here on my monitor. Guys, we as a fan base have a problem. We're here to talk about it tonight. It's okay. This is kind of an intervention. Guys, I love you. I love the fact that you're passionate fans. Holy shit, it's just a mustache. It's not even a real goatee. It's like oh no. Geraldo Rivera has the worst facial hair.
That mustache hangs out at Cathroad Ray's.
That mustache has a restraining order of its own. Just like of its own, his mustache. Guys, we have to talk. I love your passion. I love the fact that you love the Bills. I love all of you. And yet I hate some of you. In fact, I hate a lot of what we are collectively as a fan base. And I eat a cookie. You know.
It's an Eclipse cookie.
The standards of professionalism on a podcast. I need the sugar. I'm just trying to get my thoughts because realistically I have to find a way. This is almost like a John Doe letter. Or like a Dear John Doe letter. A Dear John letter. Guys, you all need to tighten it up. Stephon Diggs left the Buffalo Bills. He literally made his banner photo on Twitter him waving goodbye. What do we know about Stephon Diggs? He's a guy who has an ego. He likes the spotlight being on him. I respect the commitment to a bit. Chris, when you know people don't like you, what's the thing you do? You keep doing the thing they don't like you for.
Oh, I turn it to 11.
That's it. And this is why we get along. I don't care that people don't like me or that they're upset with me. In fact, if anything, like I've seen, it's like that Rick and Morty line. Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. I've seen the things that make you happy. I don't care that you're booing me. So everyone is in their feelings today because Stephon Diggs liked a tweet of someone saying that the Bills low-key have the worst fan base. Y'all bitter as fuck in his comments. And people are apoplectic about how he never respected us. Do you know what you sound like? You sound like the girlfriend after a relationship ends, or the boyfriend after a relationship ends who can't get over it. It's over, guys. We move on. I thought that we broached this last week, but apparently not. Do you understand the big picture? Stephon Diggs approached the Bills brass and demanded a trade. They executed it quietly, knowing that if it got leaked, it would dump his trade value. And then the Bills just ultimately wouldn't pull the trigger on it. That's the only mechanism the Bills have for shutting him and his agent up. Do not leak your request for a trade, or else we will smoke the whole process and make you sit here and hate everything, and we don't care. and we will play chicken with you as an organization. Luckily, it didn't come to that. And yet you're all somehow still butthurt about the fact that he isn't here and he doesn't appreciate us. I don't care. I care about who's here. And you should feel the same way. Now, I've got a couple talking points. The first one. We have a pact with these players, as far as I'm concerned. You play a game that I enjoy, and you do it wearing my team's uniform. You do it for my direct benefit. Awesome. If you do it well, I'm going to applaud. If you do it poorly, I'm going to boo and heckle. And if you do it poorly for long enough, they will replace you, and someone else will step in and take over your role. And then I just have a new contract with a new individual. That's fair, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
What you do outside of here, how you feel as a human being, I don't take any of that personally. Because this is just a job. You're doing a job, you're getting paid a salary. And yet some of you take every single thing that this guy has to say so personally. And it's wild to me. I can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around the psyche of people who in the middle of the day, like, here's the thing. Somebody, Chris, I'm gonna put it in the bookmarks just so that you can put it up on YouTube. This guy wrote, he goes, Stephon Diggs, in quotes, says R.I.P. to someone who passed away. Bills fans, in quotes, immediately insults him for it. And it's literal screenshots. Stephon Diggs goes, rip to Tay with praying hands. Tommy Dangles 72 says, R.I.P. your career. You know, he goes by depressed Buffalo sports fan. Another guy says, shut up. Another guy goes, you're a mid-ass receiver. Another Bills fan says, the only reason anyone knows your name is because of Josh Allen. What is wrong with you people? It's the middle of the day. Like, this happened at 3:30 p.m. So you're seeking out the tweet of a former, like, this is jealous ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend behavior, and it's kind of gross. And the worst part is it's coming from Chris. Now, this is where I'm going to get insulting. It's coming from the dregs of our fan base. Like, look, if you're so bored at 3:30 in the afternoon, I'm at work. I have actual shit going on in my life that I have to account for. I'm not worried about what a wide receiver is putting on social media. And if you are, loser. Loser. I'm sorry. You must not have that much going on.
It's simple.
Here's a list.
Reevaluate your fucking life.
Now here's the thing.
You got to be tweeting at Diggs.
Our friend challenged me to come up with a list of 20 things that are to do that are better than tweeting at Stephon Diggs or
Who's
tweeting
this?
about Stephon Diggs.
This is Greg and Aaron?
No, this is Mark.
Oh, Mark Smith.
First one, learn how to pronunciate, Chris. Learn how to pronunciate a fucking word. What was the word you just stumbled over?
I don't know.
Yeah, you've already lost it.
Do you want to... I mean, not to sidetrack.
Hang on, no,
Well,
don't sidetrack me because I gotta go.
God, you're
number
talking...
Number two. If you're going to tweet at Stephon Diggs angrily, here's your top. I'm not even going to go 20. I'm going to give you 5 or 6, and it's going to make my case. Number 1, learn how to speak properly, Chris. Number 2, clean your fucking house. Okay? I know all of you people who are out here tweeting on social media angry about Stephon Diggs. When's the last time you vacuumed underneath your couch? Never! For some of you. Gross. Fucking get in there. How about this? Clean your toothbrush holder. Asshole. Yeah, I know you're not doing that. If you're a person who's worried about what an athlete says on social media, there's no way in hell you're cleaning your toothbrush holder.
You know what I'm doing instead?
What?
Paying $300 to the city of Buffalo for my traffic ticket. I got a plea deal. $300, no points on my license. That's what I'm doing.
That sounds like a hell of a deal.
I'm writing a check for $300. I'm going to my local bank to get it because this thing says, if you wish to accept the prosecutor's plea offer to a reduced charge, execute the plea affidavit and waiver of appearance on the reverse side of this letter. Please note that this document must be notarized. So I have to I got to get this thing notarized.
You're going to have to go to Mark and have him notarize it.
No, I'm going to
yell at you.
No, I'm going to my bank so I don't have to look at Mark.
It makes me so happy knowing that you pled guilty. They're like, this guy's dumb. We have to give him a plea deal. Nobody pleads guilty on the first try.
$300 is the max. I looked it up. I thought I would get maybe $250 because I was
you did the right thing.
I was I was in the 10.
They don't give a shit about
I was
you.
in the 10 to 30 miles an hour over range, which the max fine was $300. I was 21 over, so I figured maybe it's $250.
How about this?
They gave me original charge. Here, I'll read the original charge: $388, 6 points on your license, and 15 days in jail for speeding. Sorry, I've got places to go, things to do. I'm getting married in 24 hours.
How about this, guys? If I want to add to it, first of all, that's hilarious. He's an idiot. We go back and forth over who's the dumbest person in the room almost on a weekly basis. He's the dumbest one this week. But back to my list of things you should do before you're taking Stefan Diggs' tweets seriously, personally. He's not here anymore. He's gone. It's over. You gotta let go. Here's number 4. Floss your fucking teeth. 41% of Americans, 41% floss at least once daily. I know for a fact that if you're out here bitching on social media about what an athlete's doing, you didn't floss your goddamn teeth. Get in there. Fix it.
Drew flosses with a pool noodle. If you guys didn't know that. He uses a pool noodle.
Guys, there's a million other things you could do with your time than agonizing over what a pro athlete who doesn't play for our team says on social media. I don't care what most of you say on social media. I don't follow my friends. They don't follow me. We don't talk about it. We don't, the people that I am the closest friends with, we don't tweet. At least not at each other. We don't talk about it. We just talk. You all need to learn that. And those of you who can't, just figure out a way to get, what is it? It's you're all, Chris, what would they say that in Letterkenny? You're 10-ply?
Oh, yeah. Real soft.
You're 10-ply. If you're still getting bothered by what happens with a wide receiver who's not on our football team anymore. Now, Chris, we're going to raise a glass. We're going to take a hearty sip. And we're going to tell everybody, a goose fraba. You all need to calm the fuck down. So with that said, there's some other interesting things in terms of Bills adjacent news that I think are worth talking about. And one of them isn't happening here. It's actually happening in Kansas City. Kansas City is the first football team in a long time to go try to press its local population for tax subsidies and other public funds in order to fund a stadium renovation and have the door slammed on their fingers. I think the last city that had that happen was San Diego?
Maybe.
Where they put it to a public vote and the team lost.
Here's the thing with...
Well, let's set the table for this.
Hold on. No. I'm just saying, Kansas City.
Well, let's talk about the Kansas City Dynamo because you've been there.
No, yeah, I've been there. I'm just saying, how many franchises have a home on a state line? Because you have Missouri and Kansas. If you're going to build a new stadium, you have 2 states vying for what you want. So if Missouri which is look. Independence, Missouri is a fucking shithole.
I don't understand how the stadium ended up there.
Well, you also have it's right next to where the Royals play. So
and this is the thing: the owners have gotten together and they're like, "Listen, either we do this or we bounce."
I mean,
this is a mess.
So you have the Royals, professional baseball. If you enjoy taking a shit and then staring at it for 3 hours, that's the Royals. That right next door you got Kansas City, but also they're a half hour east of Kansas City. I mean, I don't know how many sports teams are in a city that is on a state line. So it's going to be interesting because Missouri's like, no, we're not fucking with this. So you might now get Kansas to jump in and say, hey,
but also
we
Texas.
Give you what you want.
Dallas mayor reaching out. Like, now you have 3 different states who have all reached out and expressed interest in acquiring a stadium for a team that seems like it's suddenly vulnerable. And it's weird that it's the Kansas City Chiefs. What, Chris? 3 Super Bowls in 4 years?
Something like that.
5 years?
5 years.
3 Super Bowls in 5 years? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a wild thing to have to your credit. And then to know that, because to explain this for all the lay people who weren't paying attention, the Kansas City Chiefs need a giant renovation to their stadium. Kind of similar to what's going on with the current Bills stadium. They go structurally, it needs to be rebuilt. Like, it's just the overhangs, the upper decks, they all need to be redone. And there's a lot of cost involved with that. So we're not going to pay for that. We'd like some, or at least we're not going to pay for it in full.
Opened in 1972.
Okay, so it is about as old, isn't it? Probably about as old as Rich Stadium or Ralph Wilson.
I'll look that up now.
So when you talk about this, you're talking about an aging building. Now, here we are in Buffalo building a brand new stadium.
Opened in 73, so it's 1 year older.
So it's 1 year older than our stadium. And they've done some retrofits and some upgrades, but they haven't done some teardown, which is necessary when you're talking about these type of structures.
Renovated in 91, 94, and then 2007 to 10.
Okay. So you've added some niceties, you've done some things, but structurally it still needs work. It's not going to be viable for a whole lot longer structurally. And that's where you run into a problem, because they say, listen, if we're going to have to rebuild this thing, it could be millions. We'd like some public assistance offsetting this if we can get it. Given the way that public governments are shelling out money, it makes sense to ask. But the Chiefs didn't just ask. They kind of set the tone ahead of the vote, because Kansas City, Missouri, Arrowhead Stadium is one of the FIFA World Cup venues?
Look at that. The stadium will require renovations.
Yep.
So you just had renovations from 07 to 10, and you need it again to be able to host soccer.
So the idea is you're going to have to massively overhaul this building if you don't want to keep doing 20, 30, $40 million upgrades year over year over year every time you want to host an event. So what happens is they reach out to the government and they say, look, we're not doing this on our own dime. We'll pay, but you're also going to pay something because you're going to tangibly benefit from all the stuff we're going to bring in, because we're the only thing going on in Independence, Missouri. We're the only thing. Chris, you've been there.
It's a fucking dump.
Everything
I went across
around
the
street. It would be like here in Buffalo if you were to
and
put it in Niagara Falls on the Buffalo side.
100% truth. I went there, ready to pull over on my way to my brother's. Jessica had to use the bathroom, had to go to a different gas station because a homeless guy locked himself in the bathroom. True story.
It's just chaos. And so you look at this, never mind the events of the parade. You look at it and you say to yourself, I get why they're asking for the money. Every team asks for it. But the Chiefs didn't just ask for it. Ahead of this being put to a public referendum, they intimated that it might cost the city the team and the county the team if this vote didn't fall their way. And resoundingly, I think they lost, 41% of the vote went to support an expansion of the sales tax to float the stadium. So the residents overwhelmingly said no to the Chiefs. And now you have multiple other government entities reaching out from other states, offering to give them safe harbor and saying, listen, we can make a package. We can make something happen. Because, Chris, the reality is the NFL is a machine. It's a giant cash-gobbling machine. And when you see it and you know you can intangibly benefit for just a handful of shekels, and also, if you're the politician who brought the NFL to a city, Chris, how many terms are you getting reelected for?
I have no idea.
Everyone hated Byron Brown so much he didn't lose. Byron Brown here in Buffalo lost the primary for his own party and then won because he ran on write-in ballots. Now, obviously, there's a lot of politics involved with that. But if Byron Brown had been able to put his stamp on something to say, like, I was responsible for negotiating a Bills deal here to stay in Buffalo for forever, probably voted in perpetuity because people are stupid. Because people are dumb, and that's how they vote. Except in this case, or at least I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people don't vote that way. So I was interested, seeing the fact that they lost this and that now there's all this conjecture about what's going to happen with the Chiefs. Are they going to leave at the end? In 4 or 5 years, are they going to be leaving Kansas City? Are they going to strike a deal with another city to have a stadium built and then eventually transfer and leave Kansas City with nothing while they've had multiple Super Bowls? Chris, part of me thinks it might be the most fitting thing for Kansas City fans.
Yep.
Like, you've been trash for forever and you didn't support that team when they were bad. And then you got the best quarterback ever and came out of the woodwork and acted like you've been here the whole time, and now they're just gone. Suck it, Kansas City. Also, I'm sensitive because I understand how close we Bills fans were to the same fate. But so that didn't stop me from asking the question. So I took to Facebook, right? Because you know what a haven of information that is. And I also created a Twitter poll. And I put this out there just to try to, I wanted to see something. Now, I asked the question, how many, in the light of the Chiefs' loss at the ballot box, how many Erie County residents and New York State residents would have voted to increase the sales tax rate by 3/8 of a cent? Now, I want to tell you, that's what this haggle was about. 3/8 of a cent to keep the Bills in New York State if we were given the choice. Now, if you look at the poll that I have on Twitter, 51% of the 1,091 votes, 51% said, I'm from Western New York and I would have voted yes. 11% said I'm from Western New York and would have voted no. Outside Western New York, 29% voted yes. 7% voted no. On Facebook, it fell along the same lines. Overwhelmingly, from Western New York would have voted yes for a tax increase. Great. 75 votes, 89% of people said they would have voted for this tax increase. So that brings us to 1,200, if we're going to, let's call it 1,200 votes. Do you know how many people viewed the tweet on Twitter and didn't vote?
No idea.
11.1 thousand. 11.1 thousand people saw that poll and just chose not to vote. Now, the reason I find that interesting is because it was shared by all of our corollaries in the podcasting. Bruce Nolan, Greg Thompson from Cover One, Bruce Nolan, formerly of Buffalo Rumblings, Pat Moran from Talking Buffalo. Just all of these people who I knew it would get eyes And it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Chris, only 1,000 people had an opinion about our football team out of 11,000. For all the people who go, I can't believe our state wouldn't support football. Why? It's a niche thing. We think it's the entire world, but the reality is there's a whole bunch of other people who live here in Western New York who don't give a shit about Bills football. Why would they sign up to pay more money for something they don't care about? I guarantee you that was the same dynamic that just played out there in Kansas City. And the NFL found out. It's like, that's a harsh referendum. And it seems like you get this rebuke every single time you open it up to the public. San Diego found this out when they were like, well, we're going to leave if we don't get public money. And the public said, get out of here. Beat it. Kansas City, put it to a public referendum. Get out of here. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. We don't care if you're threatening us because most of us don't care about the football team. Western New York is a little bit different, but not that much different. Chris, we're lucky, I think, that our stadium situation, that our funding didn't go to a public referendum. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
When you look at recent dynamics and just the economics of this stuff. So now the question becomes, like, for all of you who are complaining about the deal and the way it was done, do you like football? Because honestly, if it came down to a public vote as to whether or not Kathy Hochul was going to use the money that we had just clawed back from the Seneca Indian Nation and the other money that probably should have been redirected towards fixing our goddamn water infrastructure, using this money rather than raising taxes or finding some other mechanism that would have cost us all, they just took away money that could have been put towards benefiting Western New York and put it into a football stadium. It's gross in terms of the misuse of funds, but at the same time, Chris, if we had voted and we had decided, hey, we don't want to pay more taxes, we don't want a sales tax increase to support the Buffalo Bills, I think the appetite and the number of states reaching out to acquire the Kansas City Chiefs proves to you that there is a market still. Like, this isn't just the specter of a threat. This is reality. There are politicians with cities with deep pockets who see what the NFL is and want that in their backyard. We could be in that same boat, right? People would have lined up to get the Buffalo Bills. And Terry Pagula, based on how, we just talked a week ago about how poor of a job managing all of this he's done and how he can't seem to hire good help. You think if he was approached with, hey, you can make your money back plus an extra $1 billion, you think he wouldn't duck out? Yeah, that's the $1 million question that's the $1 billion question we'll never have answered. Because the Buffalo Bills are still going to be here in Western New York for the foreseeable future. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens to Kansas City, and I'm not going to lie, I will be watching it with a lot of schadenfreude. There will be a lot of me who's watching them suffer what might be this kind of like, just like we're doing with Stephon Diggs. Hey, we loved you when you were here, and all of a sudden you're not our guy, and you're out. Do you think that, Chris, do you think they'll still be tweeting about the Kansas City Chiefs after they're gone?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. The people from San Diego seem pretty vindicated. Like, they feel pretty good about how this is all played out. Only time will tell. All I know is I wouldn't want to be that person, right? Like, I don't need to be a salty, I don't need to be a salty, there's a lot of profanity I could throw in there. What I do know is that Chris still has it in my face. It's telling to me that Stephon Diggs' new number is number 1. Guys, I'm looking at a picture of him, Stroud, and some guy wearing a number 3 jersey. What I'll tell you Stop. Take a deep breath. Collect yourselves. Clean your apartments. Floss your teeth. Write a Yelp review. Go review the last thing you bought on Amazon. Buy a new pair of slippers. Try them on. In fact, go through your underwear drawer and make sure they all fit and that all of the waistbands are correct. Chris, that's a problem for men, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I know as dudes, we wear our underwear until it literally just falls apart. Or maybe that's just me. But I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but I'm still not perfect. Go through your underwear drawer and make sure nothing needs to be replaced. Shine all of your dress shoes. Just shine them, just in case. If you have to go to a funeral, or like this idiot over here should have done, go to court. I don't know. Look presentable. Iron your shirts, assholes. Do it. I know there's a bunch of you dickheads who just take them downstairs, throw them in the dryer, put it on high, and tumble them for 20 minutes and call it done. Chris, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I fucking told you you looked like shit when you got here. You look like shit now with your shirt collar.
I know it bothers you, so I wear this shirt.
It bothers me so much. It just lays flat to your gorilla torso. You look like shit.
So there's a million things that you could do other than tweet at a professional athlete. Like, what's more pathetic, tweeting at a politician or an athlete, Chris?
I mean, tweeting at Trump's pretty fun.
Why?
Because there's a fucking Paul Verzi bit from his special. I'll say this. It was like he had some bit about like Trump being on Twitter. And is Trump tweeting at Triple H? You can't have the commander in chief tweeting at wrestlers.
And that's the exact dynamic I have when I look at people who I think are reasonable, and then they go out and they're tweeting at Stephon Diggs about the fact that, no, you're a bum, you're not here. Why do you care? Everyone needs to relax. Guys, it's gonna be fine. And even if it's not, there's nothing we can do about it. Let him live his life, we're gonna live ours. And that's just how I choose to see the world. I hope that you can meet me there. Chris, this whole thing is wild. Social media has poisoned everyone's minds. I hate it. And I hate grown adults on it. Grown adults on social media might be like, that's it. Don't be that guy. Stop being adults on social media acting like it fucking matters. Get a part-time job. I don't care. That's the last thing I can add to the list, Mark. I couldn't get to 20. Damn it. Maybe I owe a Seagrams for this. I really thought I could get to 20 over the course of a show.
Yeah.
Guys.
Are you good with the thumbnail for this episode?
Yes. Let's do it. Oh, my God. That's amazing. It is hilarious, though, because it does affect the Kansas City Royals, too.
Yeah. They're right next door.
It's right next door. They're all going. It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny when 5 years from now we're talking about the Houston, the San Antonio Chiefs, or the Missouri, or what would Kansas call them? Just the Kansas Chiefs?
It'd be still Kansas City. Kansas City splits right down the middle between Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. I mean, like, all the fun is
one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
All of the fun is on Kansas City, Missouri side, not Kansas City, Kansas.
One of those people should just stop being a coward and annex the other side.
Kansas City, Kansas. Well, you know what it is? Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. It's the equivalent of North Tonawanda and Tonawanda.
It's all a dump.
It's all shit.
It's all a dump, but one thinks it's better. Awesome. That's the best analogy, and I think that's where we end the podcast. Stop arguing about Stephon Diggs. Stop tweeting at a fucking man who isn't here, isn't playing for our team, is moving on with his life. It's like you scrolling your ex-girlfriend's Facebook. Stop doing it to yourself. Also, hilarious that the Chiefs might have a problem that the Bills don't. Awesome. Like that. Guys, tonight's been fun. I've gotten to trash an eclipse, my viewing party, Trump quotes, me just being, me just being angry
Yeah.
at everything. Sounds like a Rock Pile report to me, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Guys, that's Chris Kruger. I'm Drew Gear. That's a lot of whiskey. And this has been your Rock Pile report.